Ray Comfort is a well-known Christian fundamentalist, apologist, and a street preacher who runs a ministry called Living Waters. He is famous for street interview videos where he approaches passers-by, often college students or skeptics, to debate God's existence and share the gospel. He is particularly infamous for his banana argument, where he claimed the modern banana was designed by God to fit the human hand, ignorant of the fact that bananas were artificially bred by human farmers over thousands of years. When he was exposed for his ignorance, he backtracked and claimed he was just joking. It's a classic example of his long track record of misrepresenting basic facts to defend his theology and his deceptiveness. When he is street preaching, his favorite tactic is telling people that everything needs a creator. He loves saying, just as a building proves there is a builder, the universe proves there is a creator, and that creator is God. But notice what happens when someone applies Ray Comfort's own logic and asks him, if everything requires a creator, then who created God? In this video clip we are about to watch, see how Ray Comfort tries to dodge that exact question by claiming God exists outside the dimension of time, and watch how he uses the second law of thermodynamics to make bad science arguments. Let's watch the clip.
What made God?
Every atheist I know, and I've done this many times, I give proof of God's existence to a professing atheist, and he defaults to this question: who made God? God is without the dimension of time. He has no beginning and no end. Space has no beginning and no end. And
why can't we say the universe is just that
because of the second law of thermodynamics. You know that. Everything runs down. If the universe was trillions of years old, it would have turned to dust. It hasn't, because of the second law of thermodynamics. So
we think there might be more of like a big crunch type thing where eventually dark energy kind of goes back on itself. And
where did that come from?
I don't know.
You don't know. So at least
again, where did God come from?
No beginning and no end, without the dimension of time. You and I have to wait for time to pass. Okay, 1 o'clock's coming in 3 hours. We have to wait for it because we're subject to the dimension of time. God created time, and he himself isn't in the dimension. He passes through time as you and I flick through the pages of history book. And you can see it by just studying the Bible and realizing that God knew the future before it came into being.
Did you catch what just happened? In under 2 minutes, Ray Comfort used deflections, bad science, and a massive logical paradox to dodge a simple question. Let's break down his claim piece by piece. First, let's address Ray Comfort's scientific move. He argued that God is eternal, but when he was asked why the universe cannot be eternal, he brings up the second law of thermodynamics to claim the universe cannot be eternal. Ray Comfort says the universe cannot be eternal because of the second law of thermodynamics. You know that everything runs down. If the universe was trillions of years old, it would have turned to dust. Let's see where Ray Comfort's argument goes wrong. The second law of thermodynamics says the universe is becoming more chaotic with energy running down into unusable forms. This means our universe could not have existed eternally in its present form. So his argument is, the second law of thermodynamics proves that the universe we live in cannot be eternal. But here's the problem. When Christians say the universe cannot be eternal, they are talking only about the physical universe of matter and energy. Whether our universe emerged from a larger reality is still an open question in cosmology. Various cosmological models propose such a larger framework, but the second law cannot be used to conclude that such a larger reality cannot be eternal. Let me give you an example. We are living in a house. Within the house, we can observe that the house is just part of a larger city. The universe we live in is like a house. Within the universe, we can observe that this universe is part of a larger reality. So when the Christian apologist argues that the universe cannot be eternal, they are ignoring the fact that the universe is part of a larger reality. The house can wear down and become unlivable. It cannot last forever. It has to be demolished and rebuilt. But the city can last forever. So the second law of thermodynamics only applies to the universe, the physical cosmos. It does not apply to the larger reality, the city. Ray Comfort's argument is bad science. Now, even if the second law of thermodynamics proves that the universe cannot be eternal, it doesn't prove anything about God. It doesn't prove God exists. It doesn't prove God created the universe. And it doesn't prove that God is eternal. That's a claim he makes without any evidence. But what's more problematic is his claim that God exists outside of time. Let's see why that claim is a complete nonsense. He tries to convince others that God exists. When people ask who made God, he says, God has no beginning and no end. God is outside time. This is not an answer to the question. His claim God exists is an unprovable claim. And when you ask who made God, he is just introducing a brand new, unevidenced premise that he cannot prove. Instead of demonstrating God's existence, he makes an even bigger claim that an entity exists outside of time, space, and matter. Imagine I tell you there is a full-grown elephant in my living room. You look inside and say, I don't see an elephant. So I say, it exists outside of space. I have not shown you any evidence for the existence of an elephant in my living room. I have just tried to fool you by saying that it exists outside of the space in the room. When they say God exists outside of time, it means he doesn't exist. Because when you say something exists, it is only possible if there is time. If I say my father exists, I mean he exists right now. And if you say God exists outside of time, you mean he doesn't exist right now. It's one of the most ridiculous claims anyone can make. So these Christian apologists are just trying to fool you by claiming something that even they don't understand. At the end of the day, Ray Comfort has not answered who made God. He just retreated into an unevidenced outside of time bunker to protect his argument from being disproved. But by doing that, he accidentally proved one thing. His claim about God can never be proven.